What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Emphasis on Sports. As always, I'm your host, Damon Anthony. We are on season 2. I know, right? I'm on it. Life has been lifing. Recently married, honeymoon, come back. Now I'm in that married life. Look out for a new pod that I'm going to do just about welcoming myself in a married life. This is going to be something brand new. I'm actually going to start that pod very soon. I'll let you know all the details as we go. Emphasis on Sports, available on all platforms, anywhere that you could find a podcast. Go check me out. I'm on YouTube. Like and subscribe if you're new. Stick around. We talk sports here. What we do, we talk shop. We're talking sports. I don't care about people's personal lives. I don't care about the blah, blah, and the hoopla. Sports. That's what we're on. Right now in sports, a couple huge things going on. We're getting ready for the national championship, college national championship. That's going to happen in a couple days here. Notre Dame, Ohio State, really, really huge game on so many different levels for both schools, for both fan bases. For Ohio State, at least in this century, they've been right up there. They've been relevant. They've been in that area, right? We know Alabama has been the school of the century thus far. Shout out Nick Saban. They did their thing and kind of ran rampant, right? And the SEC has had a strong showing these last 24 years. But the one school outside of the SEC who's always kind of been around is Ohio State. Me living in Northeast Ohio, I'm not personally an Ohio State fan, USC Trojans. Those are my folks. But up here, having Ohio State being so close to everything, it's close to Cincinnati, it's still relatively close to Cleveland, it's relatively close to Dayton. That's the school that the state kind of leans back on to fill that good sports love, right? It's Ohio State. So it's going to be huge for that fan base. Now, on the other side, you're talking about Notre Dame. You're talking about the Fighting Irish, Lou Holtz, Newt Rockne, all that old classic stuff. Notre Dame, at some point or another, in every generation has had a memorable moment. Now, in the past 24, none of those memorable moments have meant national championships, but they've been a part of some fantastic moments, and they have a great fan base as well. Nothing you can say bad about the fact that they have an awesome fan base. Now, there were times where they did some stuff that they shouldn't have done as a fan base, sure, but equally rabid to their team as Ohio State. So I expect the stadium to be rocking. I expect it to be a great watch. My call. I got Notre Dame winning this game. Ohio State, fantastic team. Ohio State could come out and blow the doors off of them. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a relatively close game throughout. And I just think down the stretch, Notre Dame's going to do enough to pull out the victory. Now, if they don't, congrats to Ohio State. Solid team. This will be a little bit of get back on the naysayers for Ryan Day, because after Ohio State lost to Michigan, they're calling for that man's job. And if he could roll through this whole thing and walk out with a national championship, he could tell a lot of people, shut the hell up. On the Notre Dame side, I mean, listen, if Marcus Freeman could pull this one off, we all know what that means on a lot of different levels, but he brings Notre Dame back into the national championship prominence, because now people are going to want to go there. Now they may continue. They can use this as a springboard that Ohio State kind of already had. So this college football playoff game is going to be absolutely huge. That's the biggest thing going on. That's the absolute biggest thing going on. Make no mistakes about it, right? Now in the NBA, we're getting close to All-Star. We're getting close to mid-season. So things are starting to kind of shape out a little bit. Not a ton. I'm not going to sit here and say this is who I expect to win it all, or this is who's going to win it all. But we're seeing kind of the separation from those good teams to those, right? So in the East, look, Cleveland Cavaliers, this has been real cool to see in this area. They're 34-6, so fantastic record, best record in the NBA, no doubt about it. Close, Oklahoma City's close behind them, but best record in the NBA. They did get their ass whooped by Oklahoma City recently, but they did have a strong showing against like everybody else. So okay, you get absolutely punished by the best team in the West. That shit's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But the Cavs, they look like a really good team. They're playing great basketball together, great guard play. Evan Mobley, huge step up. I think the knock on Mobley for a while has been if he toughens up a little bit, we'll see a lot more out of him. Well, look, homie's he's playing great ball. He's playing great ball. No one could say that he's not. Jared Allen, also playing great ball down low. Now, what we want to see out of the Cavs, health. Stay healthy. Is Kenny Atkinson going to play these guys the right way to keep them out of health harm's way? If they could stay healthy, they definitely can compete in the East. You look at the Boston Celtics, they're right there. We don't really need to say a lot about them. They're one of those teams that they're second in the Eastern Conference. They could care less. Let's get to the playoffs. Beat me in 7. They're going to be a tough out regardless of who they're playing. I would give them the edge as far as the favorite in the Eastern Conference over everybody else. Regardless of what the Cavs' record is, they got to beat Boston. Boston's not going to be a easy team to beat. And third, the Knicks. The Knicks, they're starting to look like I think what everybody was expecting, what everybody, people stamped them as soon as they got Cat. They started off the season a little wonky because they had to figure out each other. It looks like they figured it out. It looks like they're going to be one of those teams in the East that's going to be tough. Same thing with Milwaukee. I know it's taken a little while with Dame joining that team. They went through the coaching change early last year, which I don't think anyone thinks they needed to do. They got Doc and hadn't really been looking great since then. But it seems like their ship is starting to right in an opportune time, in a very opportune time. So when I look at these top 4 teams, the Cavs, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Bucks, it could be any of them. It could be any of them to hold that Eastern Conference crown. But there's also, as a sports fan, and one of the things that I'm loving about this is this also means that the playoffs are going to be electric for the Eastern Conference. Absolutely electric. Because when you go past 4 and you look at the Pacers, we see what the Pacers did last year. If they can get back to that a little bit, boom, that's another high competitor. A big team to watch, the Orlando Magic. Now look, PB5 just came back. They have stayed as a very solid, consistent team while taking on so many injuries. Whether it's Franz, whether it's PB, they're just losing their best guys left and right. But the rest of the team is just saying, next man up, let's get it. Let's roll the ball up top, let's go. And I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Orlando. They're sitting in the 6th seed. They're going to be a really tough team to play. At 7 to 10, those teams, Hawks aren't scaring anybody. The Pistons look a lot better than they have for a long time. They're a team, those teams that don't know any better, those are the ones to watch. Those are the ones to watch. Now, if things ended right now, they'd be playing the Cavs. That would be a hell of a series. One, because of the location. These are cities that are right up the street from each other. But Detroit doesn't know any better. Let's see how this season continues to roll. Let's see if the 76ers can do anything worth anything. I have no faith in them at all. I don't know. I think it's time to really take a step back and look and say, man, is this working here? Because I don't think it is. I really don't. Now you go over to the Western Conference. Western Conference, this is one that 1 through 8 can provide a great playoff watch, which is what I want. It's part of why I don't really watch the NBA until after the All-Star break, because the guys don't seem to care as much. They don't seem to be all in all the time. Once you get into the playoffs, every game matters. Then I'm watching blood, sweat, and tears. Then I'm watching high-level competition all the time from everybody that steps on the floor. I don't get that right now. You still get guys that sit out. You still get guys that kind of do games. Nah, that's not what I want as a fan. I want to see you get in there, grind out, have good games, good competition. Let's go. When I look at the Western Conference, their top 10 teams, which I still, once again, I hate this whole playing thing. Like, if you're not one of the top 8, go home. That's what it should be. 16 teams get into the playoffs. So I don't think that I'm talking crazy here. But the Oklahoma City Thunder, top of the conference, they're half game behind the Cleveland Cavaliers for best record in the league. We know that Oklahoma City team, they're young. They got SGA, who is challenging that MVP. Right now, just based on record, based on the fact that they don't have their second best team, I would say he's the MVP. But you kind of can't fight with Joker on that one. It's tough because Joker's numbers continue to improve, as well as he keeps that team relevant, very much up there in that top upper echelon of the Western Conference, right? But the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're a team, they got their experience last year in the playoffs. Remember, a long time ago, before we had all the major free agency moves and the free agency signings, we had homegrown teams or teams that just, they were together long enough that they had to go through those tough moments in order to be a champion. So we look back at the Bulls. The Bulls had to go through tough moments. Let's not act like they didn't. Mike didn't just walk in and there was championships. The Detroit Pistons back in the day, the bad boy Pistons, they didn't just pop up. That had to be built. They had to lose some. They had to get their ass kicked and learn how to win. You look at the Spurs, kind of very much similar. Yeah, they needed to add Tim Duncan, but before Tim Duncan won, they had to lose some. They absolutely had to lose some. Look at the Warriors. I think a lot of people forget about the Warriors pre-Kevin Durant. Steph, Clay, Dre, they were all signed by them. So all drafted by them. When I look at this Oklahoma City Thunder, they went through their experience last year. So I think this year in the playoffs, they might crash it all. They might take everything out. They really might. Chet still isn't there, and they have this record. When they get all the way healthy and really figure out how to play with each other, when Chet and Hartenstein figure out how to move together on the court or when to play who, they could be a tough one. They could mow through the Western Conference. Now, then once we get past that number one, Houston Rockets, that's a team full of young hoopers led by a great coach. And this is that team, like on the other side with the Pistons, that doesn't know any better. This is the Houston Rockets. They don't know any better, and they're the second best team in the Western Conference by record right now. That makes it real spooky. It's different because they are one of the top teams. So they can continue to shine like this and be real tough come playoff time. The Grizzlies, we know that they're going to go as Ja goes. Ja's out there balling. If anybody missed it the other night, probably one of the best dunks that didn't count ever. I'm not going to be short-sighted and say it was the best. It's one of the best that I've seen that didn't count. Ja got up in the air, punched one on Wemby. And for anybody that likes to say that wasn't a dunk because he kind of threw it in and grazed the rim, man, that's a dunk. Y'all, I can't dunk. I've never been able to dunk. That's a dunk. You hear what I'm saying? That's a dunk. You see how high that man was? He's looking in the rim on a 7'4" dude. That's a dunk. Then after the Grizzlies, you got the Nuggets. Now the Nuggets, they're going to be a team. They're building something that I don't think that they should, by trade deadline, I don't think they should do anything with. I think they should just leave well enough alone. Russell Westbrook has learned how to play with Joker. He's learned how to fit into what Joker has going on. If Jamal Murray can get his game back to where it was a couple years ago, this team could be real spooky because the team has shown Russ a lot of love. The community, the fandom, a lot of love to Russ. He looks as comfortable as he did when he was in Oklahoma City. That's going to be a dangerous Russell Westbrook coming down the stretch. So I really want to see what Denver's going to do. The Clippers, Lakers, they're at 5-6. We could say what we want about both of these teams. If Kawhi Leonard plays healthy, if he's healthy and can be in there with what Harden and Norman Powell are doing, they're going to be a tough team to get rid of. We know what the Lakers have. They got AD, one of the top players. You got LeBron James, one of the top players all time, still playing at a high level. Now you got Austin Reeves. You got Connect. You got Rui. Let's see what they can put together. I know JJ has been getting after these guys just about their toughness, preparation, being locked in, focus, all of. If they can get all that together, we know. Listen, this is LeBron, this AD now. We're not going to act like, I'm not going to act like LeBron's past like he's whack now. He sucks. It's LeBron James. He still can play good ball. I think he's accepted the role at least a year or two ago. AD is the best player on the team. LeBron's going to want to make sure everybody gets involved and everybody is doing well. If that happens, Lakers, they're going to be tough in the playoffs too. Then you look at that 7-10, Mavericks, T-Wolves, Kings, Suns. This is what can make the Western Conference fun. You could have the Mavericks and the T-Wolves get in at 7-8. And just imagine, first round, Minnesota and Oklahoma City, Dallas and Houston, Lakers and Grizzlies, Clippers and Nuggets. Sign me up right now. Sign me up right now. This is going to be a great playoffs. I can't wait to see how everything goes down the stretch. I will get into more basketball talk, especially as football starts to wrap up. That's when I really punch into the NBA because the guys start playing a little harder, a little tougher after that All-Star break. I'll be there. We'll talk about that. Also, we're going to get into college basketball. College basketball is starting to roll. I really, really don't lock into that until February, kind of never have. Once we get closer to all the tournaments, that's when I really pick up college basketball. Now, college basketball, that tournament, March Madness, that's going to be absolutely great. I think I will be joined by a couple guests for a couple of pods on that one. I'm going to have a couple of people in town. There are games playing in Cleveland. Hopefully I can go to a couple. I'm really looking forward to college basketball once tourneys start, once them tourneys ramp up, right? So now, let's talk about the NFL. Let's talk about the NFL. Let's talk about it, y'all. Now, the NFL, we just wrapped up week 1 of the postseason. We know that the season is over. There's a lot of different things going on, a lot of interviews, a lot of proposed movement, a lot of talk of change or continuation in certain places. Let's look at some of these teams. As you see behind me, I got a bunch of 49ers stuff. I'm a 49ers fan. Anybody that listens, anybody that watches knows that. I don't run from that. We had a shit year. Sure, we had a lot of injuries. Didn't have a good year. That shit's just going to happen, right? Been hearing a lot of things. Who are we going to get that's better than Kyle Shanahan? There's no reason why we don't want Kyle Shanahan. Let's just keep that clear and let's be honest. I've seen a lot of things. Ben Johnson. Listen, this is a ready-to-go team. Get everybody healthy. Let's get a good DC in there. Maybe Robert Saleh. Maybe Dennis Allen. Maybe Ulbrich. I'll take any of the three to get our defense back going. We get our defense right. We get our offense healthy. I know we're going to re-sign Brock. I'm seeing a lot of this, he's not worth this much. He's not worth this much. Man, let's, as a football universe, as a sports fan universe, right? I don't care about when he was drafted. I don't care about how to do dresses. I don't care what he looks like. I don't care about any of those things. I mean, look at his career in a bubble. The guy's been the starter for 3 years, right? We'll round up that first year because he came in after some injury. His first year in, he leads us to the NFC Championship and beats some teams, whether in the regular season, whether in the playoffs. He did well. His first full season as a starter, so his second season, I'm going to say his second season, he leads us to the Super Bowl. Play well in Super Bowl. Nice comeback in the NFC Championship. Right, so this is year 1, year 2. Year 3, doesn't start the season with his top running back. Loses a receiver, loses another receiver to getting shot in the chest. Has a receiver play multiple games with pneumonia. Tight ends out a little bit. Star left tackles out. A lot of injuries on defense. Doesn't have a good year. Him as a quarterback doesn't really have a great year. But we want to move on from him after that. It's 3. We're going into year 4. But we want to either move on for him or underpay him and bring in who? Who? Is Tom Brady coming back? Can we go get, are we about to pick up Patrick Mahomes? Josh Allen? One of those guys? Stop it. Stop it. Man, I'm seeing stuff, Sam Darnold and all this. Like, man, if y'all don't stop it. Justin Herbert. For what? For what? Because he throws the ball super hard? How's that worked out for him? What has he done in the playoffs? Exactly. My dude just wrapped up year 3. All right, so that's my rant on the 49ers. But other things around the league, we're seeing the coaching carousel as usual. Big shout out to New England. went and got Mike Vrabel. Seemed like they were doing a lot of bullshit to satisfy the Rooney Rule. And to me, like the Rooney Rule, why? Just let teams hire who they want to hire. Why even, trot people out like a dog and pony show to interview them when you don't want them? But I think he'll do well in New England. I think he's going to right that ship. They do have their quarterback of the future. Drake May did look good this year. Can't say he did. I think that organization is going to get somewhat back to where they were before. I won't say all the way, but somewhat. Time and Bill. We're seeing in Dallas the potential for Coach Prime to end up in Dallas. That will be a real interesting move there. I think there's a lot of people that think that Jerry Jones would never pull that trigger. But, at the same time, Jerry Jones, I think he wants to bring somebody in. If he could hire somebody that he's just saw right some ships, go to Jackson State, do well. Go to Colorado, they were terrible. Have them in a bowl game in a short span. Now, understand this, Cowboy Nation. The NBA is not college football. You got to do some things, Cowboys. You got to get rid of some players. You got to bring in some players. You got to shore up some things, as well as the coach. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. There's always, listen, I live outside of Cleveland. Yeah, look, y'all see y'all a little smirk there, right? So in Cleveland, the biggest thing that's come out recently is Deshaun Watson re-injures his Achilles. He's out all year. Just go ahead and cut him. Just go ahead and give him the money. Just go ahead and get him out of here. Bigger stories that's come along with that was the treatment or mistreatment of the team and Deshaun Watson by Coach Kevin Stefanski. Now, I've been on record as saying it's time to tear the whole thing down. Just go ahead, get rid of Stefanski, get rid of Barry, go draft a quarterback. I know I ruffled some feathers last week when I said draft a quarterback and let him hold a clipboard for a year. And people were, oh my God, like, do you even watch football? How can you sit him on the bench for a year, this, that, and the other? I'm going to tell you how. Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers. Sometimes this is actually good for players. It is. And when you have, as I see, when you have a coach that allegedly wasn't coaching Deshaun Watson in front of the rest of the team, but will change up once Deshaun Watson's on the bench. He's going to coach him up right in front of the team. Whoever's the quarterback now, that's not good. That's not good. You don't get the respect from your team that way. So if Stefanski's going to be the coach, you got to get somebody that's going to stand there and watch the game, learn the game from the sideline before they step in. We've seen how that's helped and hurt. Bryce Young was thrown to the Wolves right out the gate. Didn't work out for him. Came in this year as a starter. Didn't really work out. Then he rode the pine for a little bit. Regathered himself. Rewatched the game. And he played pretty damn good down the stretch run of the season. He made it so that Carolina's not going to go out and get a quarterback. Maybe that's what needs to happen with the Browns. Let somebody watch. Now, of course, if you clean house and you fire everybody, you bring in a new coach, you bring in a new GM, they may draft somebody, they may have a different way that may work. But what I'm saying is everything else that the Browns have done since they came back has not worked. So let's just try something else. How about that? You threw Baker right out there. Back in the day, Couch right out there. Jimmy or Johnny threw him right out there. How did any of that work out for you? How did that fare for you? And then I'm hearing all this shit out here. Let's go get Kirk Cousins. Let's go get Sam Darnold. How has that worked out for you? Maybe Darnold's a good one because you can get him a little cheaper and stopgap a little bit. You go get him, you draft a quarterback. Maybe that works out for you. But stop doing everything that you've done. Let's do something new. Maybe that shit will work. All right? Let's talk about the playoffs last week. So we wrapped up week 1 of the playoffs this past Monday, but let's talk about the games from the first to the last. First game last weekend was the Houston Texans playing against the Los Angeles Chargers. Houston whooped the shit out of the Chargers. No way around that. 33-12. I personally thought the Chargers were going to win that game, so bad call on me. Houston made me look real bad, real terrible there. But Houston came out and they played a damn good game at home. Real strong game, real good defensive game. Now, Herbert did throw the ball to the other team a fair amount. You absolutely did. There were a fair amount of turnovers, but Houston capitalized off what they capitalized, and they move on. Today, they play the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, which is going to be a hell of a game. Let's see how the weather looks on that one. But that's going to be a hell of a game to watch. Damn sure is. Then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore did what everybody expected them to do, took down Pittsburgh, no problem. 28-14. And I'm just going to tell you, the game really wasn't that close. Watching the game, it seemed like it was more 42-14. It really seemed like Baltimore took their foot off the gas. They came out swinging, and I really think at some point they just said, all right, it's enough. Pittsburgh, they're not going to do nothing here. On the Pittsburgh side, them dudes didn't look like they really wanted it. They really didn't look like they wanted to play. I think this is the end of Russell Wilson there. Maybe Justin Fields becomes the guy moving forward, which wouldn't be a bad look for Pittsburgh, but I think it's the end of Russell Wilson. This should be the end of George Pickens, too. George Pickens, I don't know. Great talent, but the juice doesn't seem worth the squeeze. If some of these antics that George Pickens says any of that stuff, and he's putting out the numbers like Jamar Chase, all right, different thing, but you're not. You're just not. Simply not. On the Baltimore side, they look fantastic. I mean, Derrick Henry, Lamar, they look fantastic all the way around. Really, there's no notes, nothing really to say. I think they took their foot off the pedal. I'm looking forward to their game tomorrow, which we will get into. For me, I haven't, outside of a 49er playoff game, I haven't looked forward to a divisional round playoff game like this for a very long time. Popcorn will be ready. Food will be cooked. I'm going to go into this one like just, let's go. Let's go. We'll talk about that in a second, because the next game on the docket was the Denver Broncos going to Buffalo and getting absolutely demolished. First and second play of the game, like right out of the chute, Denver up top, deep ball, boom, touchdown. Me, as a sports watcher, I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Denver's in it. They ready to play. They're not scared of these boys. I was wrong. They may not have been scared. They may have been ready to play, but then Buffalo just smacked them all over the field. Nothing else to say about it. Buffalo put them paws on them with no problem. Buffalo looked really good in this game. Denver, they look like a team. At the beginning of the year, nobody thought, I don't think they would be in the playoffs. I really don't think Broncos fans expected them to be in the playoffs. So this one, as much as nobody wants to lose a game like this, 31-7 in the playoffs, you kind of can get it, and you kind of don't feel too terrible about yourself because Denver's going to be around. They're going to be there next year. They're going to get better. Buffalo continues to impress and show why they're number 2. They're the second best team in the AFC as far as record. That sets up for, like I was saying, a game that I'm really looking forward. I really want to see Baltimore at Buffalo. We will talk about that one, but that's going to be, as they used to say, a slobber knocker. Cannot wait to see that game. Then we had Green Bay going and visiting Philly. Philly knocked them down 10. This was one, I mean, you definitely could see it coming. Philly's just a better team. Green Bay had some injuries and kind of kept getting some injuries, which did not help their case at all. But Philly went out and they had a solid game. Especially on the ground. We know it wasn't a fantastic game in the air. A.J. Brown reading a book on the sideline. People can say what they want, but if the coach isn't mad about it, if the team isn't mad about it, then who are we, right? We had Saquon Barkley, could have broke off like a 70, 80-yard run, however long that was, got down, slid down, and no one really knows why. Messed up probably a lot of parlays out there, but doesn't matter to them. They're moving on to this week. Philly also, they look like a team that they're just ready for a playoff run. They're ready for a playoff one. Then we had our first upset of the weekend. We had the Washington Commanders go into Tampa. Now, for this game, I called this one. Only game I was wrong on was that Houston Chargers game. I figured that Washington will win this game. They're playing, just like I said with the NBA, they're playing like a team that doesn't know any better. And the one thing that they know and that we've seen all year is if you leave them alive in that fourth quarter and you haven't absolutely stomped them out, you might be in trouble because they're going to play a full 60. For those of y'all that don't understand what I just said when I said that, a football game is 60 minutes. Sometimes teams don't play a full 60. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 minutes within a game, here or there, where guys take off, where guys just say, you know what, man, it's a running play. I don't need to block nobody on the outside. Or guys say, you know what, they're not doing this. I don't got to tune into that. This is a team that plays a full 60, and if you're not playing that full 60, they're going to get you. Tampa had a decent game. Baker did turn the ball over, costly fumbles, costly interceptions. If that fumble towards the end of the game doesn't happen, we may not be having this conversation, but it did. And Tampa never put the game so far away that Washington couldn't come back. I like what I'm seeing out of this Washington team. This Washington team is scary. It's very scary to watch. So it amps up for a good game that they're going to have today. This one I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be a hell of a game, right? Let's move on to Monday. Another upset. This one I definitely called also. At Minnesota at the Rams. We know that this game was moved to Arizona due to the wildfires in Los Angeles. So this wasn't technically a home game for the Rams, but it's an NFC West game. LA is a lot closer. You get a lot more fans there. You know what I'm saying. But the Rams went out and they put them hands on the Minnesota Vikings. I kind of saw this one coming just because it's a fast track, just the same as any other indoor place. And the Vikings, to me, as good of a team as they are, the way that they looked that last game of the season against the Lions, that didn't bode well going into the playoffs. We know the Rams set some people, but their offense is starting to look a lot better. We know everybody's healthy now. When they're healthy, when you have Puka and Kupp on the outside with Kyron Williams back there, it makes it really tough to defend because Stafford, he knows how to put the ball where it needs to be just to get through the moment. He's not out here like it used to be. Before, he's trying to throw through 400 yards. I don't think he cares about that shit now. Let's just win these games. I'm going to be better at my job than you are at your job. So shout out to the Rams there. So now to the Minnesota family, shout out to the homie Rico. I get it. Y'all were 14-3. You get your ass beat in Wildcard. Y'all will be all right. Y'all will be all right. Make sure your quarterback position is tight, whether it's Darnold, whether it's McCarthy, and you'll be fine. These things just happen. At least you aren't like the team that's close to me, the Browns. So, let's move on to this week. Let's talk about the divisional round. All four of these games are going to be good games. All four of these games I'm looking forward to. Cannot wait to just melt into the couch and scream at the TV. All right, so first game up is Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. The line on this one is Kansas City -9. I think that's a big number. I like Houston to cover. I like Kansas City to win. It's really hard to say that Kansas City's not going to win a game. Let's just be honest. I mean, they are who they are. 20 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, all of those times, nobody's really going against the Patriots with Brady rolling. These are the champs. Got to beat the champs. Got to kick them out. I like Houston to cover, though. Houston showed a lot last week. Houston, they're going to have a little get back on their mind also when it comes to the Chiefs. The Chiefs, they're getting healthy. You know, you got Pacheco back there. You got, your receiving room is looking a lot better than it has. I like Kansas City. I like them to win the game. I really don't have a lot here. They're a damn good team. They're at home. Everybody, when you listen to NFL players, they always say Arrowhead is a hell of a place to play. Give me Kansas City here. Hey, if the upset happens, the upset happens. Then tonight, the night game tonight, this one is going to be a hell of a game, but I really, really think that we could see an upset here. That's not what I'm going to pick, but I think we could see one. We got the Washington Commanders at the Detroit Lions. The current line on this one is Detroit -8.5. This is a tough game to call. I like Washington to cover that 8.5. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say Detroit's going to win. I like Detroit to win, but beware. Just as I said a couple minutes ago about Washington, if Detroit doesn't blow the doors off of this team, which Detroit can do, they're very capable of. We saw it happen throughout the season. Boom, they're putting up 30, they're putting up 40. They're putting up numbers. They need to do that against this Washington team. If they leave this Washington team in the game down the stretch, and when I say down the stretch, last 7 minutes of the game, If Washington is within one score, this could be really, really tough. This could be Detroit seeing the NFC Championship last year because Washington doesn't know any better, and they really, truly play a full 60 minutes. Now, Detroit is well coached. They're going to go out and they're going to play 60. We know it. We know what their offense is capable of. We know what Aaron Glenn has gotten that defense to do. But I also know Washington knows how to win close games. They have a quarterback who's not scared. They have a receiver who's not scared. They have threats out of the backfield. They're not a bad team. They're a really good team. Like I said, I like Washington to cover. I like Detroit to win. But it would not surprise me one bit if Washington won this game with a last-second stupid-ass field goal. And I would say something like 30-28. It would not surprise me at all. I live where I live, so I would love to see Detroit continue their journey. But just want to be honest, Washington can win this game. Washington to cover, Detroit to win. Tomorrow's games. These games are also going to be fantastic. It bugs me out a little bit when they move back to times as the playoffs go, and now we got 3:00 games, 6:30 games. Cross that timeline bridge, give you some football while you eat your food and all that, whatever. We got the Los Angeles Rams at the Philadelphia Eagles. Current line on this is Philly -6. Give me the Rams to cover. Give me the Eagles to win. This one, yes, it's going to be outdoors. It's going to be cold. That's a game changer for the Rams. Definite game changer. You're not on a fast track. You have all the elements of the weather out here that Philly is definitely, they're used to. Their guys are going to be fine. We get that. We know that. Saquon is going to run the ball and going to run the ball a lot. He's going to take that pressure off of Hurts. They're going to have to use their receivers more this game. They're going to have to. Because on the other side of the field, the Rams are going to score. It's just how much do they score? Can you get effective shots? Can you get the Rams to turn the ball over? Remember what I said a couple minutes ago. They're a little bit healthy now. That's what the Rams really haven't been. They're healthy, though. So that means they're going to spread the entire field out. You can't key in on one thing. And Matt Stafford, he has the ability to pick you apart. So I like Philly to win. I like the Rams to cover. Now, game of the weekend. This one, popcorn will be ready. I'm going to be super, super excited for this. Like this one, I wish this one was today. I'm so ready for this one. Got the Baltimore Ravens at the Buffalo Bills. Current line on this one, Baltimore -1.5. I think that's slightly disrespectful because Buffalo's at home. Buffalo was the 2 seed. Buffalo, it's not like they lost a whole bunch of games throughout the year. Baltimore's going to come in. The thing that they have this year that they did not have is Lamar Jackson actually has that other piece in the backfield that he feels that he doesn't have to carry the whole load. That makes Baltimore that much more difficult to defend and to scheme and to game plan for. But on the other side of the field, with Buffalo coming into the season, and I'll raise my hand and tell you I was dead ass fucking wrong. Buffalo kind of cleaned out their wide receiver room. They cut a lot of defensive players. They cut team captains. Did not know how they were going to bounce back and respond. I didn't have a lot of faith in them. What I failed to think about is when you take away a Stephon Diggs, who's your number one guy, you take away a Gabe Davis, who's your number 2 guy, you bring in a rookie, you elevate Shakir, you trade for Cooper, you have your stud tight ends. Now you don't have to throw the ball to anyone. Now you could throw the ball to everyone. Now Josh Allen can just see the field and survey it and give it to whoever's open instead of, I have to try and fit the ball here. It makes it scarier on defense because now I don't have one player to key on. I just know we all better be doing our damn assignments or he's gonna kill us. But James Cook has been great there. That being said, Baltimore -1.5 at Buffalo. Give me the Buffalo Bills. I like the Bills in this game because they're at home. If Baltimore was at home, I would take Baltimore. I think Buffalo being at home, I think Buffalo being a home dog, which is wild to me. I like Buffalo in this game. I like Lamar for the MVP. Even though if you gave it to Josh Allen, I'm not mad. I'm not going to argue against it. I like Lamar for the MVP. This is like MVP on MVP. The votes should already be in. That's what we always hear, that the votes are turned in at the end of the season because it's a regular season award, right? That's what they say. They say it's shit in all these sports. But this, from a viewer standpoint, is MVP versus MVP. Whoever wins this game, everyone's going to say deserves the MVP. I like Buffalo to win this game. I think top to bottom, they're a better team, just a better team. If Buffalo had a better, or if Baltimore had a better receiver room, I may be a little different there. Give me Buffalo in this game. Absolutely. Will I be rooting for Baltimore? Sure. I don't have any money on this game. I can care less who wins. My team's not playing. I want to see a great game. So whether Baltimore wins or Buffalo wins, whatever. I'm going to take Buffalo in this one. I think Buffalo is going to do what they need to do and win probably a very close game. Very close game. Looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. It's going to make championship weekend fantastic. And I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. So, look, buckle in. This is going to be a great sports weekend. You got 2 playoff games today, 2 playoff games tomorrow, College National Football Championship on Monday. NBA, like I said, they're getting into their groove. We know that college basketball is happening. It's Saturday. I'm off work. The wife is not off work. So I might just light the fireplace, kick back, watch some college basketball. We shall see. All right? Until next time, y'all. Y'all be good or be good at it, and I will holla.